predictions for UFC 143. Let's get right down to it. Looks like a pretty good card. Start with the top of the card as always. Oh yeah, by the way, in regards to the links and whatnot, there's a really good reception. Thank you for everybody who did contact me. I actually opened it up to the first 15 people to get at me with the links to get my 2 months of free picks. And there is no lie, there's now one spot left. So if you do want 2 free months of links, or 2 free months of my betting predictions, where I basically focus on the betting side of it, tell you my confidence in each of the fights and which ones I think you should and shouldn't fight on, etc., etc. Let me know. There is one more spot left for 2 free months. After that, it's back to normal, which is 1 free month. All right. So there you go. Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. All right. Really, honestly, it's kind of sounds strange that I even say this, but even what Nate Diaz had done recently has affected the way I look at this fight. That, it kind of sounds dumb, right? Why should what Nate Diaz is able to do affect the way I see what Nick Diaz is able to do? But in this fight here, I probably would have picked Condit if I had not seen Diaz versus BJ Penn, and if I had not seen Nate Diaz versus Carlos Cerrone. If those 2 fights hadn't happened and they said Nick Diaz is going to go up against Carlos Condit, I would have picked Carlos Condit. I'd be rooting for Nick Diaz, but I'd have been thinking Carlos Condit would take it. But I'll be damned if their boxing, which I always enjoyed and always thought was, solid, has just been an unstoppable force in MMA. I mean, the only way I think you can beat Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz is to be a smothering, aggressive wrestler. And I think anybody who can't do that can't beat a Diaz brother, really. Especially Nick. And that's who we're talking about here. Nick Diaz, his hands are going to be all in Carlos Condit's face all day long. No time to rest. And, I'm sure high-level Muay Thai guys, small, lower weight class Muay Thai guys or a really good boxer would be able to deal with what Nick Diaz does. But a lot of things that come with striking when you're not at the absolute highest level is timing. You got to get that timing. You don't want to get into a brawl. And it's kind of weird because Nick Diaz is kind of brawling, but he's not. Because the difference between a brawl, I think, and what Nick Diaz does is a brawler is throwing everything into everything and not really controlling his limbs the way somebody who's not brawling is. So he might, he's going crazy, throwing a million punches. Because that's what normally people think. They just think of a brawl as a fighter throwing a high output in MMA, high output of strikes. And then if the other guy throws a high output of strikes, then it's a brawl. But I think the way Nick Diaz strikes, since he's just coming at you with that 40-50% until he goes to the body or until you're hurt, he's not really brawling. He's just throwing a lot of strikes. And the people can't deal with this type of a brawl. It's easy, or at least easier, to deal with a guy who swings so hard that when he misses, he does a 360. But Nick Diaz is always in your face, always stepping forward, plotting slowly, accurate. I mean, Nate Diaz in his last fight was 82% over almost 300 strikes, and he was 82%. That's not a brawl. That is ridiculous. And that's the problem I see now when I take a look at the Diaz brothers striking against anybody who's not going to just try and out-grapple them. And by out-grapple, I mean wrestle them, take them to the ground, and play really, really safe top position in guard, striking, etc. Carlos Condit, I don't think he's going to be able to deal with that in-your-face, non-stop pressure. He has good striking. But is he going to be able to counter, peek around, do whatever you think you have to do, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Wrestling wise, is Condit going to be able to just decide, you know what, after that, I'm going to just take Nick Diaz down, play it safe on the ground? I don't even think he's going to want to do that. But if he does come to the point where he does try to do that, I think Diaz will be okay against Carlos Condit. Do I think Diaz would be okay against George St-Pierre? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that later, which I think we will be talking about later. But at the end of the day, I do think Nick Diaz goes out there, puts on a fight of the night, does another BJ Penn performance, win over BJ Penn performance, and really shocks a lot of people who think Carlos Condit is going to win this, which is actually me a few months ago. And yeah, that's it. Crazy fight. It definitely could be fight of the night. I mean, if Diaz is in the fight, it's probably fight of the night. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, this is what y'all should have had on Fox. Nick Diaz. Actually, who am I kidding? I remember the last time the Diaz brothers were on network TV. That didn't go too well. All right, maybe not. Actually, that's the last thing you want, is the Diaz brothers flipping off the camera. Oh my God, I could just imagine. The Diaz brothers on Fox? Whew. Wow. Man, you know what? Man, that's hilarious. All right. I want to see it. I just want to see Dana's face. So scared the whole time. Just chill out. Just chill out. Be cool. What, like Samuel L. Jackson? Be cool. Tell that bitch to be cool. All right. Anyways, Pulp Fiction. All right. Next fight, Roy Nelson versus Fabricio Verdum. This is tough because I don't think this fight's going to go to the ground. And since it's not going to go to the ground, it's like Roy Nelson has a very aggressive move forward. Whenever he blocks, he just literally puts his hands like right behind the guard and just walks forward, takes a few punches, and then comes out the other side throwing haymakers. And Fabricio Verdum is definitely the better technical striker, but he gets hit every single fight. He gets hit or close to hurt or hurt. Alistair Overeem, obviously, he was just deathly scared of the feet, fighting on the feet, flopping to the ground, going for takedowns, gassing, horrible fight. Before that, Fedor Emelianenko, I don't actually think he was hurt. I think he kind of baited Fedor into that. Until Antonio Bigfoot Silva dropped him a couple times. Mike Kyle had him hurt. He went for a desperation takedown, which he got because Mike Kyle's not all that great. And then we have obviously the Junior Dos Santos situation where he got caught with the uppercut. He gets caught a lot. And this fight's going to stay on the feet. And if Roy Nelson catches him, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And it's not like the kind of guy that he can just, muscle memory take down. Roy Nelson is tough to take down. Fabricio is not good at, at actually takes down. So, it stays on the feet. At the end of the day, I got to go with Fabricio Verdum. But, man, don't act like I'm not going to act like I'm not worried that he's going to get caught by Roy Nelson and finished. But yeah, I'm going to go with Fabricio Verdum. I mean, the other thing about Roy Nelson is he is a big guy and he can just, just push forward. He's swinging and then just pushes him up against the cage. They lock up. I see Roy Nelson being the first to initiate that whole wall tactic type stuff. So it's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to go with Fabricio Verdum to be able to outstrike Roy Nelson and not lose more rounds than he wins. He's definitely, I don't say definitely, but he's probably not going to knock out Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson's got crazy chin. All right, Josh Koscheck versus Mike Pierce. Let's keep this one simple because it's pretty boring. Josh Koscheck is probably going to out-wrestle Mike Pierce. Mike Pierce probably has the more technical stand-up, and Josh Koscheck has already felt the pain of trying to go out there and swing away and against Paulo Thiago when he got knocked out. And other than that Paulo Thiago fight, he lost to George St-Pierre twice, Thiago Alves, and then way back in 2005 against Drew Fickett. I don't see this being his sixth loss. I don't see Pierce being able to out-wrestle him, and I don't actually see Josh Koscheck spending too much time on the feet. I think that he's going to try and keep this on the ground, get top control, and just try and, ground and pound and put Mike Pierce, a fellow wrestler, on his back and get a win. And I think that's what's going to happen. Josh Koscheck by decision. By the way, Fabricio Verdum by decision, and Nick Diaz by third round TKO. Renan Barão versus Scott Jorgensen, sick fight. Scott Jorgensen is going to have the advantage in wrestling. Renan Barão is going to have the advantage everywhere else, including grappling in general, jiu-jitsu, etc. His striking is crazy. He's got, one of the longest streaks or win streaks in MMA, or at least undefeated streak in MMA. He started out at 0-1, and he is now 27-1-1. Is a crazy fight with Brad Pickett. I think I did pick Brad Pickett to win that fight because I thought Pickett was going to be able to mix up the stand-up with the wrestling, and Brad Pickett got caught in the first and choked out instantly. Barão's submission game is on point, and I think against Scott Jorgensen he's going to be able to kind of do what very few are able to do, but his stablemate, the champion, right? Jose Aldo. I think he's going to be able to do what Jose Aldo also does, which is solid striking with good takedown defense and a really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game to probably finish off Scott Jorgensen. If he doesn't finish Scott Jorgensen, I have him winning by decision. But I think he will end up submitting Jorgensen in the second. Next fight, Ed Herman versus Clifford Starks. I'm not sure what this is all about. I think maybe they like Ed Herman. Obviously he probably wants to move up in competition, but at the same time, he probably wants to get a win bonus and win a third fight in a row. And I think that's what's going to happen. Ed Herman's just going to be better pretty much everywhere. Clifford Starks, he's a wrestler, so maybe he'll have the advantage in wrestling, but I don't think it's going to matter. It's not like he's an amazing wrestler. I see Ed Herman, beating him up on the feet. If he wants to, he can submit him. And I see him basically TKOing Clifford Starks probably in the second, if not winning a decision. So pretty decent main card. I think the Ed Herman fight will be exciting for as long as it lasts. Same thing with Renan Barão. Roy Nelson, Fabricio Verdum. Yeah, they're heavyweights and, could be a slop fest, but who knows? I think it's a good fight. And then you've got Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit, which is guaranteed to be amazing. On the undercard, Dustin Poirier, I have him winning. Matt Riddle, I have him losing to a guy, Henry Martinez, coming in. I think he took the fight on a very, very short notice. But he did fight like late January. I think he fought on the 21st of January. He's Greg Jackson's crew. So I think he's going to be able to beat Matt Riddle. I've got Edwin Figueroa defeating Alex Caceres, and I've got Matt Brown defeating Chris Cope. Stephen Thompson, pretty solid prospect actually if you take a look at Stephen Thompson. His stand-up game is on point. He's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Trains under Carlos Machado. He's actually, 5-0, hasn't faced anybody. Daniel Stigen or whatever his name is, he's not exactly competition either. But, basically this guy was like, what's that dude's name? Chuck Norris. Like Chuck Norris, other than being like, the craziest human to ever walk the earth, but like he has like different tournaments and whatnot. And this guy was like the fighter of the year for a year. He's multiple amateur kickboxing titles, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt in Kenpo Karate. Just all around looks like a solid prospect. Kickboxing record of 56-0. It should be interesting to see what happens here. And actually, you know what I would like to see is I would like to see this dude against. Why am I slipping? Anyways, he's a Brazilian. Cosmo Alexander. I think if Cosmo can do his thing in Bellator and maybe find his way over to the UFC, and if Stephen Thompson isn't doing his thing already, that would be a really solid fight. If it's on the feet, Cosmo should win. But anyways, and I've got Rafael Natal over Michael Kuiper. So there you go, UFC 143. Those are my picks. That's it. MMA is important. Peace.